The America East Conference College Basketball Preview on the College Basketball Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is brought to you by, Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code TCESGPN to get 50% off your deposit bonus up to $1,000. Promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, into the College Basketball Experience, America East style. Oh, the good old America East, a.k.a. the Vermont Catamounts League. They've been a blue blood.
Vermont Invitational.
Yeah, the Vermont Catamount Invitational. But, hey, there's 8 other teams coming back. It is a new season. Everybody 0-0. Maybe this is a year somebody knocks off Vermont. We'll talk about it, all 9 teams, and break down our 1 through 9, give out our sleeper bus and our conference champion and who will go dancing come March. First off, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. That's not the song. It's loading. Well, anyway, I am.
It's loading.
I don't know what's going on with this dude. There we go. Hey. As slow as a Monday over here at the College Experience.
A mind of its own.
Oh, yeah. Soundboard. Soundboard's malfunctioning early, but hey, you know who's not malfunctioning? Him and his Detroit Lions at kickoff in here in about an hour. So he's ready to rock and roll, baby. He is the window banging, drywall hanging, LeBaron driver, Noah Bieniek, a.k.a. Noah B77. What is going on, brother?
What's going on, Mac? And I'd actually argue that the Lions are malfunctioning. The offense hasn't been as advertised so far this season. It's just the 3 preseason games are out of the way now. Going into Game 4 Monday night here with Seattle, we're doing a second show during the middle or maybe after the Lions game tonight. We'll see how the mood is after that, because my expectations are always low with the Lions, but we're like 2-10 in our last 12 games against Seahawks. So we'll see how that goes. They don't have Pete Carroll this time, though. But yeah, it's the Vermont Invitational. Last year, looked back at the show. Colby was on the show with you and I. We all predicted a Vermont sweep. I know we were all going out on a limb there, predicting that Vermont would win, the regular season and conference tournament. Your sleeper was Maine, along with Colby. You both predicted Maine as a sleeper team to finish, higher than they finished the year prior, and that did happen. My sleeper team was Binghamton. Didn't quite come through, but they finished 6th in conference. And then your bust was UMBC, along with me. And they were terrible through the first 3 months of the season. It was like they were one of the worst basketball teams in the country. Yeah. But they turned it around a little bit, finished a little bit better, but still, I think they're 8th in this conference. But we're going to go through all of that in our little team previews for all 9 of these teams in the America East this season. Mac, do you have any takeaways overall from last season that you wanted to mention prior to us turning the page and getting on with 2024-25?
No, not really. I mean, we kind of touch on it jokingly. This has been the Vermont Invitational under John Becker. Lowell has been a little bit better over the last couple of years, maybe challenging a little bit, and to a certain degree, Bryant. But at the same time, man, it kind of feels like they challenge a little bit till about middle conference play, but the culture of Vermont, just the winning pedigree, they find ways to win games in February and March. So maybe this could finally be the year that they dethrone them. I forgot to look up how many has Vermont won in a row off the top of your head.
I think it's 6. I think it's 6 years in a row.
I got Becker. I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. Last time they did not win was 15, 16. They tied 1 year in the bubble year. So when there was less games, they tied. Every time that they've had a full season, Vermont has rolled this league.
Oh, you were talking. I think I meant tournament victories. You were talking regular season. Yeah, that makes sense because they did not win the tournament in 2018. So it's 6 straight tournament victories, 8 straight regular season championships.
Mm-hmm. Who'd they lose to? Oh, UMBC. Oh, yeah, UMBC, who then went on and beat Virginia in the 16th. So, hey, if you beat Vermont, you're gonna get an NCAA tournament win. That's the goal.
And yeah, let's jump right into the teams for this upcoming season. Alphabetical order, like we always do. We have the Albany Great Danes beginning the day for us. From last season, they do lose a couple of 20. They lose 5 guys that averaged 20 or more minutes from last season. Amari Marshall, who played 32 minutes, 16.5 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, almost 2 steals per game as well. He has transferred out alongside Sebastian Thomas, who averaged 19.5 points, 4 boards, almost 5 assists per game in 35 minutes. Jonathan Beagle, 12.5 points, 9.5 boards, 1.5 assists, 1 steal per game, as well as a 6'9" big man. He's transferred out. And then Tyler Bertram, who played 26 minutes a game a season ago. He's out of eligibility, along with Marcus Fillion and Munir Newton transferred out, alongside with Jack Margupis, Will Amica, Marcus Jackson, who played 22 minutes a game. Naimiri Little, who played 18.5 minutes a game. And then coming in through the transfer portal, we have Byron Joshua from Alcorn State, played 29.5 minutes for the Braves last season, 11.5 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. And then DeMar Langford Jr. coming in from UCF, played 10.5 minutes for the Very Golden Knights last season. St. Joe's transfer, Casper Klashik, who played 15 minutes for the Hawks last season. And then Sultan Adewale coming in from Iona after playing 14 minutes for the Gales last year. 2 JUCO recruits as well coming in through the transfer portal. Kenai Briggs played for Indian Hills last season, 10.5 points, 3 boards, 1.5 assists. And Damon Strand for Raritan Valley, had 23 points per game, 8 boards, 2.5 assists. This team lost quite a bit, literally like 4 of their starters from last season. Amari Marshall does return. I think I read him in the portaled out, but he's the one returning starter here after averaging 16.5 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, almost 2 steals per game. Shot at 37% from 3, but overall, Dwayne Killings is going to have to repair this roster from a season ago after they finished they were
13 and 19.
13 and 19 overall, 5 and 11 in conference. They finished 8th out of 9, aka second to last. So there's a really low floor here, in my opinion. Mac, how about you?
Yeah, it's hard to get be high on this team. I mean, Killings is headed into year number 4 now. They have not finished above 6 in the league. His best year actually was probably his first year, his initial year, when he took over for the guy that had been there forever. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Will Brown. Will Brown had been there forever and had a lot of success. So very underwhelming tenure so far. 17 and 33 in the America East. So this is a big year for him in this program. They got a lot of question marks, though. I mean, 13 and 19, 5 and 11 year 3, and then you lose a bunch of guys. Yeah, you could point to where you could see a couple of these guys taking a step, but for the most part, this is a bottom half of the America East team. I mean, this is I need to see it from Killings and
100%. And Albany, they finished 3rd offensive efficiency wise in the America East via KenPom. And they were 8th defensively last season. And then in 2023, they were 9th. They were dead last. And you're not bringing back that offensive core like you had last season that really kind of, I would say, propped you up from a basement finish in the America East, where I think they definitely could last or fall down to. I'm reading David Matola's comment as I'm talking. Albany at
Making fun of your Black Force comment. From last week.
Yeah, I'm with Rolex Dad though. The Great Danes, one of a kind mascot in the D1 level of college sports. So shout out to them for that. Binghamton as well. Next up for us, alphabetical order here. The Bearcats. They finished 15-15 overall, 7-9 in conference. The golf course were slightly under par for last season.
Give me double bogeys.
I was hoping that joke was going to land a little bit better with you, but it was okay. They also lose 4 guys that played 20 or more minutes from last season. Shamir Torrance was a guy that I was really high on last season, transferred in from Syracuse. He's out of eligibility after playing 32 minutes, averaged 8 and 6 with 7 assists. Just an insane player for them last season. Also, Dan Petcash, one of the best names in conference, 33 minutes, 9.5 points, 5 boards. He's gone. Tariq Belogun, another really good name. He's gone after averaging 8 and 3 in 20 minutes. And then Arman Harid, who averaged 11 points, 5.7 boards, 2.7 assists in 31.5 minutes. He's also out of eligibility alongside Tavion White. Coming in through the transfer portal, they did not do nearly as well this season as I thought they did last season. They bring in Jackson Benangane from Stonehill, played 27 minutes, 11.5 points, 2.5 boards, 1.5 steals per game, 1 dime per game, 32% from 3. They also have Dominic Capriati coming in from Houston Christian after playing 24.5 minutes for the Huskies, 7.5 points, 2 boards per game, 38.5% shooter from deep. Jaden Lamont transfers in from William and Mary after playing only 8.7 minutes per game. Did shoot 40% from 3. I don't know the sample size on that, though. Ben Callahan Gold, a D3 transfer from Trinity after averaging 16 points per game with them, 6 boards as well. And Wes Peterson transfers in from Delaware. He's looking for more floor time after only playing 5 minutes a season ago. He is a senior, 6'6" guard. Yeah, I mean, Binghamton last year, after finishing tied for 4th, but there was a 3-way tie there, really kind of anywhere from 7th to 4th. I was high on this team last year. I don't see that potential in the Bearcats this season. Mac, do you?
They've kind of been very consistent under Sanders. Right in the middle of this league, back-to-back tied for 4th finishes, hovering right around that 500 mark. 7-9 last year, 8-8 the year before that. His first year 8-10. So another fourth-year head coach in this America East. Yeah, man, they just they got a lot of question marks. I mean, from a return production standpoint, they're in the bottom 3 of this league. So I kind of bank that they'll be somewhere in that 5-6, or maybe they could sneak back into the 4 seed. But for the most part, just a little bit above that median, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, you spiked my memory to even mention that. 3rd least returning minutes from last season. Albany had the second least returning minutes from a season ago. So, and this Binghamton roster is also the 3rd least experienced going into the season in the America East. I just don't see a very high ceiling for these guys. So maybe sure they've had a steady floor with Lavelle Sanders, but I'm not going to predict them to finish in the top half. I do not believe so. Before we continue on with the rest of the America East basketball preview, Doug Stanhope, Brennan Walsh, and Sean Green are hosting the newest podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network called Get to the Points, where every Thursday night before the Thursday night football game, Doug, Brennan, and Sean are going to talk a lot of shit, give out their favorite NFL football plays, and also, just have some fun, as they're all professional comedians. You may have heard some of them on the Joe Rogan podcast, Howard Stern Show, or Comedy Central. So subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Help us out. Do us a favor and go check them out, because it might be a very fun NFL show for you guys. The college basketball experience is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Their pick'em is always adding new stuff to their menu. Today they had the New York Mets, Atlanta Braves doubleheader player projections. That first game was crazy. A lot of hires outside of the Atlanta Braves Schwellenbach starting pitcher. But there are just a ton of ways to win on Underdog Fantasy, NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, NHL, even college basketball when that season rolls around in just about a month here. The lobby is always jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries, and now you can use those in flexed entries. So sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick, plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And we're back on the college basketball experience, previewing the America East for the 2024-25 season. Next up for us in the alphabetical order is the Bryant Bulldogs. Martelli Jr., the head coach here, Phil Martelli Jr. Last year I honestly thought it was an impressive coaching job after what had happened. Spike my memory. Who was the coach that Grasso, yes. After he was released, relieved of his duties.
Weird deal. Just weird. Weird.
So they struggled early. They finished the season 17-13 overall, 8-8 in conference. Again, this was another team that was tied for fourth here in conference. I would say they don't lose as much as they do return, which is quite a bit. But as we always do, let's start with the subtractions. Sharif Gross Bullock has gone pro. 34.5 minutes, 18 points per game, 5 boards, 2.5 assists, 1 steal per game. He has left the program alongside Daniel Rivera, who played 31.5 minutes, 13 points per game, 8 rebounds per game. Tyler Brelsford, 23.5 minutes, averaged 6 and 2.5, along with Doug Eater, the March legend with St. Peter's. Miles Latimer, who played 12 minutes a game. He's out of eligibility as well, alongside Todd Rochelle, who transferred, and Greg Cantwell, who transferred out. Returning, though, I think this is really important, because you bring back Earl Timberlake, who on paper is going to be, honestly, the America East returned quite a bit of their big-time contributors from last season. I was pretty impressed for a low major like the America East to return a lot of their stars. But Earl Timberlake is returning 34.5 minutes a season ago, 14.5 points, 9 rebounds per game, 4 assists, shot at 62% from the field. And then Rafael Pinzin, who averaged 27 minutes per game, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists last season, shot at 35.4% from 3. And then from the transfer portal, I thought they actually won the transfer portal. Davion Williams comes in from Canisius after playing 22 minutes per game, 7.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, shot at 31% from 3. St. Bonaventure forward, 6'8" junior Barry Evans played 18 minutes a game for the Bonnies last season, averaged 5 boards, 59.3% shooter from the field. They also bring in Cam Ferris from Marist. That rhymed there. 5th-year senior Cam Ferris, 6'3", played 16.5 minutes for the Red Foxes last season, shot at 40.5% from 3. And then Ja'Kai Robinson comes in from Miami, Florida, only played 7 minutes for the Hurricanes. So he's looking to play a little bit more of a role here this season. But overall, this is a very, very experienced team on paper. I'm looking on Torvik right now. They are, where am I at here? They are
top 4.
Yeah, honestly, like on the sheet, so it might not be like they might not have tremendous depth, but honestly, they go 7, 8 deep. Juniors, seniors, 6 years, in the starting five, and probably in their rotation. They've just probably got a large freshman class here that is weighing that experience rating down. Overall, I'm pretty impressed by what Bryant has on paper for this roster this season. Mac, how do you feel about Martelli Jr.'s job last season and the roster he's got coming into this year?
Yeah, I was just researching. So Grasso, that whole thing that went down with him, I know he was on leave and then he had the incident with the hit and run. Um,
Yeah.
it was literally right at this time last year, September 29th, and he was released on October 1st. So a year ago, Martelli took the reins of this program, and did a decent job for the most part, like you said. Pretty good job, all things considered. 20 wins. I thought that they had a good roster last year. But with a lot of distractions, found a way to win 20 games, 11-5. Like I talked about early, they were one game back of Vermont with 5 games to go. But we've seen that with Lowell over the last couple of years where they're right there, but they can't finish the job the last couple of weeks because of the Vermont culture. So I do like Bryant. Back to Bryant. Timberlake probably might be a preseason player of the year in the America East. I think that this is
There's a couple of those in that conversation for sure.
yeah, but he's right there for because we're talking about Bryant. I think they can contend for the league. I don't know if they're there to dethrone Vermont, but it's kind of my theme of this episode. But I do like him. Top 2, top 3 team in this league, and we'll see if they can finish the job off this year. Remember, they did beat FAU on the road. They did beat
Yeah.
Towson. They did beat Drexel. Like they beat good fucking teams. They just couldn't find consistency down the stretch, losing 3 in a row before the conference tournament.
We are in agreement pretty much here on Bryant, and good pull. They did knock off some teams in the non-conference.
And Howard.
Pretty impressive. Yep.
Yeah, they beat Howard too.
The Maine Black Bears, aka the Cocaine Bears, they are up next for us here. Last season, they finished 15-17 overall, 7-9 in conference, in that tie for fourth. We talked about here. Maine, like this was a team that I loved 2 years ago. They retained a lot of the core players last season, and they're losing Filippovity, who played 27 minutes a game for them, 14.5 points, 7.5 boards. Also this season, they lose Christians Firebergs, who played 20 minutes, and then Jashante Wright McLeish played 28 minutes for them. But outside of that, like the backbone of the team is still there. We'll talk about that in a second in the backcourt there. Aim Dagula transferred out alongside Bryce Lagier and Adam Cisse, and then OK Jamgoose departed from the team. Returning, this is kind of what I had circled for this team this year. Jaden Clayton played 33 minutes a game last season, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game last season. And then Kellen Hines, 6'3" grad senior in the backcourt, 34.7 minutes per game, 12.5 points, 3.5 boards, 3.5 assists, over 2 steals per game last season. Shot it, didn't shoot it tremendously well, but these two guys, you are going to look to deliver a lot of the offensive punch for the Cocaine Bears this season through the transfer portal. They added some role players, in my opinion. Killian Gribben comes in from Siena, playing 22 minutes a game a season ago for the Saints. Christopher Mantis comes in from Appalachian State after playing 16 minutes a game, shooting at 33% from 3. And then Ridvan Tutic comes in from New Hampshire, missed last season due to injury, I assume. So Maine is kind of a middle of the pack team for me this season. It depends on how the returning seniors here, they've got 3 of them from last year's team, how they perform and if they improve throughout the offseason and the non-conference slate. Mac?
I'm buying into Markwood as a coach. I think he's done a pretty good job, all things considered. He took over Maine when they were 5-20 the year before that. Markwood, back-to-back years of kind of being right there in terms of middle of the pack, 7 wins in the league. So he's been able to turn this into a middle of the job. And you kind of just look at his track record too. He worked for Beckner at Vermont. He worked for Bill Cohen at Northeastern. Those are two of the better programs I respect in that area of the country. And then he worked for Earl Grant at Boston College as well. He played at Maine. So I think he's got this thing going in the right direction. They do lose quite a bit, but I kind of just want to bank that they're going to be back in the top 4. I think that this program is actually on the rise, and I know we've been fans of this program. So I think that Maine is going to be better than people think, because I believe in Markwood and just the program that he's been able to build there in his first couple of years.
The Black Bears have had a top 3 defense in the America East in each of his first 2 seasons.
And Beckner and Cohen, man, you work for 2 really good coaches. Yeah, you're gonna bring a couple of those nuggets and just philosophies and just cultures over to your program.
Yes, sir. New Hampshire Wildcats are next up for us in our alphabetical order. They lose one of the biggest stars from this conference last season, Clarence Daniels, 33 minutes, 19.5 points, 9.5 boards, and a great shooter. Honestly, he had so much volume in that offense from a season ago. It's going to be interesting to see how New Hampshire chooses to replace that. They also lose 3 other guys that played 25 minutes or more a season ago. Jackson Baker is out of eligibility after playing 30 minutes, averaging at 11.5 points, 6.5 boards. Ahmad Robinson transfers out after averaging 15.5 points, 4.5 boards, 4.5 assists, and one steal per game a season ago. And then Naeem Miller is out of eligibility after playing 25 minutes a season ago. Alex Tavares, Christian Moore, Dior Davis, Paul Gakmar, and Promise Operum also transfer out of this program. Honestly, Mac, the only returning starter from last season is Trey Woodyard. Played 29 minutes a game last season, 7.5 points, 4 boards, 1.5 assists. Shot at 37.5% from 3, 48% from the field. They kind of repaired this roster through the transfer portal. I think it's a push, though. I don't think that they came out on top necessarily as Bryant did, I think was the team, in my opinion. They bring in Sammy Pacis, coming in from Chipola Junior College. Scored 12.5 points per game there, 3.5 boards, 5 assists. So he'll be a nice distributor here for the Wildcats, I would assume. Dylan Saunders comes in from Iona after playing 10 minutes per game for the Gales last season. Giancarlo Bastianoni comes in from D2 North Georgia. Anthony McComb transfers from Bowling Green. Emmanuel Akpomo from Temple. Both of those guys averaged less than 10 minutes per game last season. And then Jawari Hamlin comes in from Monroe after averaging 3.5 assists. He's a 6'2 junior guard. So New Hampshire, I think this is a team that is going to have to get better throughout the year because they do have a lot of new pieces. But on paper, I like a few teams better than them. So New Hampshire is going to fall in my bottom half of the standings for my predictions. Mac, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you, even though I was a fan of Nathan Davis at Bucknell for all those years and Randolph-Macon before that. So, I mean, he's a proven winner. It is year 2, but they do have a lot to replace. This could be kind of laying down the foundation as a continuation of year number 1. So I probably in that 5-6 range for me. I don't see them cracking the top 4 just with all the question marks and unknowns with this team.
Yeah, we're going to take one last pause real quick because college basketball experience is brought to you by BetUS. We believe they're the best in the business. They've been around for more than 30 years. You can now easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts whenever you want to cash out. Support SGPN and get yourself access to another great book by signing up at BetUS. Use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus, promo code SGPN, so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. And SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model or copy one of the top-performing ones from the leaderboard, and Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop. And they also have a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're home free today on the college basketball experience, talking America East, previewing all 9 teams here. And then at the end of the show, we'll give our preseason predictions for the end of season final standings in the America East. Next up for us, alphabetical order-wise, is NJIT, the Highlanders. The ceiling's not very high for the program last season. 7-21 overall, 3-13 in conference, and they've kind of been bottom feeders for recent memory. 3 wins last season. 4 wins in conference in 23, 6 wins in 22, 6 wins in 21, 6 wins in 20, and the Atlantic Sun. And honestly, since kind of COVID this year, this team, the program has just not been tremendous. I would say to climb out of the cellar should be the goal this season, but mass exodus for Grant Billmeyer in year 2. He loses 9 bodies from this team from last season. Elijah Buchanan is out of eligibility after playing 31 minutes, 13 points per game, 6 boards. Makai Gray played 32 minutes, 10 points per game, 4.5 boards, 2.5 assists last season. Adam Hess played 30 minutes per game, 9.5 points. Kyle DeGraff played 25 minutes, 10.5 points, 5 boards. He's also out of eligibility. Daniel Schreier, Justin Anderson do not return. And then IL Nankin, Isaac Hester, and JJ Tchaikovsky, and Jalen Robinson, they all hit the portal as well. Overall, Bill Myers looking to repair this through his recruiting, mainly high school recruiting. Only 2 transfers come in. Tim Moore Jr. from D2 Benedict. He scored 15 points per game and 25 minutes per game last season. And then Tristan Wennerson comes in from D3 Ithaca. Played 29 minutes a game, 19 points, 7.5 boards, 1.5 assists, shot at 40% from 3 as a 6'6" forward. Both of those incoming transfers are graduate seniors. Everybody else on this roster on paper, to me, looks to be underclassmen, freshman, sophomore. They by far have the youngest roster in the America East. Returning from last season that played meaningful minutes was Tariq Francis. He'll be the point guard this season, averaged 2.5 assists, 15 points, 4 rebounds per game, shot at 35% from 3. He's probably going to be a volume scorer for this team, in my opinion, because outside of him, I don't see a whole lot of positives on this roster. It's young everywhere besides the wings, and the wings are D2, D3 transfers. So, Mac, the goal should be to finish 8th for NJIT, and even that might be a little steady, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, Bill Meyer took over a tough job. Let's be honest. NJIT, they've been dog shit for years. So it is about establishing the culture. It's going to take a minute. This is not a fix it quick. I do think that they could climb out of the basement. I think maybe they could make a jump into that 7th or 8th spot. They are young, but I think that they got some guys that played last year that maybe take a step here, and maybe they're feisty there in February. So we'll see with Bill Meyer. He is a Kevin Willard assistant from Maryland and Seton Hall.
All righty. We move on to the UMass Lowell, the Riverhawks. Last season, They did finish, I believe it was in second place. I got to pull that up real quick.
Yep.
After
Tied
doing
for
my
second.
tied for second with Bryant, 11-5 in conference, 22-10 overall for these Riverhawks. They were really good in the non-conference for sure. They had the best offense in this conference last season, according to KenPom, and honestly, they lose a lot from that team. I think this is probably a step back season for UMass Lowell. Ayinde Hakeem, he's gone after playing 36 minutes, 14.5 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals per game. Braden O'Connor averaged 35 minutes per game, 10 points per game, 4 boards, 2 assists. Abdul Karim Koulibaly transferred out. Anthony Maxwell transferred out, along with Andres Fulgencio and Jordan Thompson returning to this team. I was actually thinking of the wrong team. They returned 4 starters. Sorry about that.
I'm a little confused.
They bring back.
I think they bring back a lot.
No, I must have been thinking of the wrong team on my notes. So they bring back 4 guys that average double-digit points. I apologize for that. They do have 1 transfer in projected starting 5. Quincy Clark, the point guard, Jacksonville State transfer, averaged 8 points per game, 3 boards, 3 assists for the Gamecocks last season, and 24.5 points. He's a senior, and they also, in the rest of this projected starting 5, graduate senior, 5th-year senior, or senior. This is a very experienced team. Obviously, I was thinking of the wrong team here. Yuri Covington is a 5th-year guy, 27.5 minutes per game last season, 10.5 points, 5 boards, 1 steal per game, 1 assist per game last season, 35% from 3. Quentin Mincy, a 6'7" graduate senior, 27 minutes per game, 14 points, 6.5 boards, shot at 35% from 3. Max Brooks, a 5th-year senior, 26.5 minutes last season, 12.5 points, 7.5 boards, 1.5 assists, 62% from the field. And then Cam Morris III, a 6'8" senior in the front court, 24.5 minutes last season, 11.5 points, 6.3 rebounds per game, 56.3% from the field, 38.9% from deep. They also bring in a DePaul transfer and Caleb Murphy, 5th-year senior, played 21 minutes for the Blue Demons last season, 53% from the field. And then they bring in Makai Gray, one of the better players from NJIT last season, 32 minutes, 10 points per game, 4.5 boards, 2.5 assists. I was thinking of the wrong team here. UMass Lowell is a contender this season. My apologies. Mac, your thoughts on this team?
Oh, hell yeah. They've been knocking on the door. Last year they lost 3 games to Vermont by a combined 15 points or 16 points. So they were right there. They could easily won at least 2 out of 3 last year against Vermont. They finished 11-5. They bring back a lot, 4 starters. Vermont's going to have to watch out for them. The problem for Lowell, they're no longer a secret. Duquette's done a really good job there over the last decade, and really elevating this program the last couple of years in the America East. They have found something via the portal and just the way they're running their program, because they're 22-8 in the last 2 years in the America East, and 4 of the losses, 4 or 5 have come against Vermont. So they just can't get over the Vermont hurdle. But other than that, they take care of business who they're supposed to be. So Pat Duquette, is running a really good program up there in UMass Lowell. Another former Bill Cohen assistant from Northeastern. All the good guys come from Northeastern, baby.
Yeah, I don't know why. I must have even maybe the article that I was reading had the wrong headline for the team, and I didn't catch any of it. But I've honestly been a Lowell. I've been bullish on Lowell in recent years when we've done the America East previews, and I think they're going to be right there again, competing with Vermont in this conference. Catching you off guard for today's show, but I think they might give them a run for their money. It all kind of depends on that home court, because America East does it really cool, in my opinion. If you're the top seed in the game in the conference tournament, you'll get home court. And that's honestly what's kind of killed it. Killed Lowell, because they have to go to Patrick Gymnasium every single season in a tournament. UMBC is next up for us, alphabetical order wise. Last year they finished 11-21 overall, 6-10 in conference. The Retrievers just were not living up to the program pedigree they had set in recent years, but they were young last year, and they return a lot of that core. They only lose Deion Brown to the transfer portal after averaging 19 points per game, 7.5 boards, 2.5 assists, almost 1.5 steals per game. From a season ago. He's the only starter they lose, though. Kadarius Smith averaged 17.5 minutes. He's out of eligibility. And then also Max Lorca Lloyd transferred out alongside Marcel Gardner and Frank Amo. So returning to this squad are Marcus Banks Jr., averaged 15 points per game, 4 boards, 2 assists, shot at 35.5% from 3. They also bring back Bryce Johnson, a senior, 6'4" guard, 22 minutes a game last season, 10.5 points, 2.5 assists, 2.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 38% from 3. And then Ace Valentine, the point guard, averaged 2.5 assists last season, shot at 33% from deep. He played 26 minutes a game. Overall, this team is gained a little bit of depth that they didn't have last season that we were very, very nervous on. And also the experience part. Like a lot of these now seniors just didn't have a whole lot of playing time under their belts going into last season. They returned 5 guys that played 20 minutes a game a season ago. One of them being Josh Adonowo coming in from Columbia. Played 20 minutes a game for the Lions last season, 8 points per game, shot at 61%. He's expected to be starting in the front court. The only question mark for this team, in my opinion, Mac, is they look a little small on paper. So on the glass is where they're going to worry me a little bit this season.
Does that explain why they were like outside the top 320 in defense metrics? So yeah, they struggled guarding the basketball last year. They struggled to stop anybody. This program kind of feels like it's headed in the wrong direction over the last 3 years under Jim Ferry. So I don't know, man. I kind of think that they take a little bit of a step forward from where they were last year. Clearly, a disappointing 6-10 year. We were all over them, kind of being the bust team. I kind of think they're a middle of the pack team this year with just experience, but is it good experience, like you said?
Yeah, we a lot of people were predicting the UMBC upset over Louisville, and we're like, you know what? It might have scared us, and that because they lost by 1 to Louisville on opening night. We're like, okay, they might be able to compete this year.
Shows you how bad.
And then they kind of threw us off the scent until like December. And then we were like, yeah, this is the team that we kind of expected that they would be. But yeah, I think they improve from last season, but again, I don't think their ceiling is as high as some of the other teams in this conference. So I kind of have them by default. I think I'm going to have them in the I have them 5th or 6th. Not confirmed, but that's where I have them currently. And then we're going to get to confirmed top spot in the American East for the last few seasons. And Mac, they return the most minutes from a season ago in the American East. So you want to just chalk this thing up minus 400. I mean, this is kind of crazy because they're the second most experienced team going into the year. They return the most minutes by about 10% in the conference. 75.5% of their minutes are coming back for the Catamounts, who, of course, won this conference a season ago with a 28-7 overall record, 15-1 in conference. Honestly, dude, they dropped a couple of clunkers in the non-conference, and I was like, you know what, Vermont might have thrown me off this season. I thought they were going to be better than they were, because 2 seasons ago was the year that everybody could have caught them because they were young. They didn't have anybody they didn't have anybody that looked like they could step up. They hit the West Coast trip and they took 4 losses of their 6 games, and you were like, it might be the year that somebody could catch Vermont. Last year they were growing in experience, and this year is this core has been together for about 3 years. They only lose 1 double-digit scorer from last season. It was Aaron Deloney, who played 26 minutes the season ago. 11 minutes per game, 3 assists. But outside of him, like that's the only real contributor that they lose. Matt Veretto's out of eligibility. He played 22 minutes. Brenton Mills out of eligibility after playing 11 and a half minutes. Michael Moore hit the transfer portal alongside Charlie Moore, Jackson Skipper, and Michael and Dashimie. Like I said, four of the last year's 5 starters are returning to this year's team. Shamir Bogues averaged 11.5 points, 5 boards, 2.5 assists, 51% from the field. He returns. 6'4" senior guard. Also 6'4" senior guard TJ Long returns after playing 28.5 minutes, 12 points, 4 boards, 1.5 assists. 36% shooter from 3. TJ Hurley, 6'5" junior, played 23.5 minutes last season, 7.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 37% from 3. Larry Io Filet, a 6'8" redshirt senior forward, 23.5 minutes a season ago, 7.5 points, 5 boards, 1 assist. And Nick Fiorillo, 22.7 minutes per game, 8.5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists per game, 45.8% from the field. They added Shai Odom from the transfer portal from Howard. Last season played 21.5 minutes, 8.5 points, 3 boards, 2.5 assists, shot at 45% from the field. And then Gavin Perryman transfers in from Texas. He was a Texas Longhorns walk-on, but he's a graduate senior after playing a lot of other Big 12 walk-ons and some garbage minutes, averaging 1.5 minutes a game for the Longhorns last season. But overall, like Vermont, how can you not pick them to win this conference, win the conference tournament? Like we said at the top of the show, is the Vermont Invitational, Mac.
Oh, 100%. I was just looking at their non-con the whole time you were breaking down their roster. I care about. Yeah, they're going to win the regular season. Dude, they're at UAB opening night. That is an underrated game on November 4th. So looking forward to that. Then they go to Auburn. So they have that double Alabama trip. And if they start 0-2, everybody don't overreact because then we'll get to come on them and there'll be a discounted price there for the next couple games. So they got Merrimack, Iona, Buffalo, and then they always play Colgate. Them and Colgate always have a home and home. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this Vermont team. Could this be a Vermont team, Noah? I mean, we both agree they're going to win the regular season. Could this be a Vermont team that heads into March Madness with like 3 or 4 losses, maybe? I was looking at Torvik. They're going to be a dog. Obviously, the first 2 at UAB.
Yeah.
At what's it called? At Auburn. But other than that,
they're a dog in 4 total games. It's probably
and 2 of them are by
realistic.
1. 2 of them are by 1.
It's probably realistic. One of those was the at UMass Lowell game, which is like the only kind of toss up that you can give them in the America East as a loss. Yeah, they, like you said, they might start 0-2, throws everybody off the scent, and then they just run the shit. Who did that 2 years ago? Was it the Florida Atlantic team that dropped?
I think
2
it
games
was.
Early
They lost. They lost to
they
Ole Miss, and then they ran the table till like middle. Yeah, they're gonna go 0-2, and then they're gonna win every game until like a random conference game that they're gonna drop, and they're gonna finish 28-3.
Hold on, I'm gonna find this because
they're gonna be nasty next year.
So Florida Atlantic,
they lost.
It might not have been because Florida Atlantic lost 1 in the first 2 games, and then they rattled off 19 wins in a row. Maybe it was them that I was thinking of. Maybe that was it, but I don't know. But yeah, just we've seen this happen before, and it looks like you could be right. I'm trying to see if I can find who actually did that. Was it Charleston? Kind of pulled off the same thing as FAU that year too. Lost to North Carolina, rattled off 20 wins in a row. Yeah, so I think that's a realistic season for Vermont this season. So yeah, we both have Vermont winning the conference. in the regular season. Do you want to go 1 to 9 or just keep the same theme and go 9 down to 1?
Yeah, we can go. Oh, we both have the same one, but yeah, let's go 9-1.
Okay. You can start with your 9.
9, man, I'm down on this team. Albany. I think they're in the basement.
Yeah, I have NJIT in the basement at 9, but I have Albany 8.
Okay. I went NJIT 8. So yeah, not much different. At 7, I went the golf course Binghamton.
I got the golf course 6th. I have New Hampshire 8th or 7th. Sorry.
At number 6.
So New Hampshire 7, Binghamton 6 for anybody that I confused.
Okay. I had UMBC at 6. I had New Hampshire at 5.
Okay. I have UMBC 5th.
Okay. At number 4, man, I kind of talked about our boys. I like what I'm starting to see from this Maine program. I think they
I'm
get
right
back
there
to
with
that
you.
4 finishes.
Yeah, I got the Cocaine Bears 4th too.
And I got Bryan at 3.
Yeah, and then UMass Lowell 2, Vermont 1.
Yeah, we're pretty much lockstep on this one. There was not much variance in this league. Who's going to win it? Vermont, because it's at home. You could just repeat the soundbite from last year. Give me Vermont regular season and postseason. This is a chalk league because they do it right, man. They reward their regular season champion by playing on the home court.
They do. That's one of the 2 ways that I like doing. Like, because I 100% I agree with rewarding the regular season champion. And the only thing that is possibly flawed with the format that I prefer with the double, triple bye for the 1 and 2 seeds is if there's any ties in the standings. Then it kind of skews it where some teams may not have truthfully earned that double bye over another team that they were tied with in standings. But overall, if you invite 8 teams to your conference tournament and everybody has the same format and you just give the home sites to the higher seeds, I'm totally okay with that. And yeah, tip my cap to the America East, tip my cap to Vermont for continuing to take care of business in this conference. So yeah, we both have Vermont winning the regular season and the tournament. Mac, your sleeper team from this conference this year?
Maine. Don't be surprised if Maine sneaks up into that top 3. I said 4th. I was conservative. You know what? I'm not going to be conservative. Flip Bryan and Maine. Maine goes up a notch. Keep my Cocaine Bears, baby. Maine is my sleeper.
You're not gonna like me for saying this, but they finished tied for 4th last year.
Oh, this is a big jump. If they jump any of these top 3 teams, it's a jump.
Yeah, if they break through, I don't know if I can give that to you though. I guess it was a huge gap. I'm just now realizing it was Bryant had 11 wins and Maine had 7. So if they do jump Bryant, I'll allow it.
I mean,
that's like going from 7th to 4th in the normal conference.
Well, you're not going to find a sleeper because we copy and pasted basically the results from last year almost verbatim to this year.
UMBC.
Oh, that's not a sleeper.
They finished 7th. I got them 5th.
That ain't a sleeper.
Not a sleeper, I guess. But yeah,
they won a tournament game.
Shit, I've got Maine then. I have Maine finishing 4th though. I'm not jumping them over Bryant like you. So give me UMBC as the sleeper. It's not a sleeper, but Maine's not really a sleeper either.
We need the preseason polls to come out because the preseason polls, I don't think Maine will be in the top 4 preseason. So that's where I'm saying they're a sleeper.
Okay. Yeah. We do need the preseason polls. So bust. Do we have anybody truly busting in this conference? New Hampshire for me.
Is Albany finishing last a bust?
No, because they were second to last year.
That program should be better than last, though.
I'm gonna go with Binghamton. They finished 6th last year. I have them finishing 8th. I think that's the lowest I can go.
I mean UMBC. I guess UMBC though finished shit last year, but I mean I bet you
if you're truly switching up Maine and Bryant, I'll let you say Bryant's the bust.
Yeah, year 2 of Martelli,
Because they finished 4 games above Maine.
they overachieved last year. A little bit of a step back this year. The Bryant Bulldog.
Right.
Take a
So
step back.
what's the official prediction? Because I know I just put words in your mouth.
Sleeper Maine, bust Bryant, and my top 4 Vermont, Lowell, Maine, Bryant. Kind of
All
flows.
right. It's in cement. My top 4 Vermont, Lowell, Bryant, Maine. My sleeper UMBC, my bust New Hampshire. That's been the America East Conference preview. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're looking to binge all of these conference previews, we've done like 12, 13 of them now. Slowly but surely, we are going to go through all 31 of them. You can find all 31 of them when they're finished in our playlist, the college basketball previews. I think we have them for 24-25. Also in the playlist, you can find Mac's Coaches Tour, where he's interviewing a ton of mid-major head coaches in the offseason. And then also the TC Trims, where we're taking some of the biggest news headlines from the day, and we're basically throwing it into a short form video for just more content throughout the year. You can also find the college football experience, the FCS college football experience, the Big 12 college experience, and the college baseball experience. Or if you're looking for more than just the college experience, SGPN's got something for everybody, whether it be MLB, NHL, NBA gambling podcasts, or if you're looking for NFL stuff, the Sports Gambling Podcast touches on the NFL every single day. And throughout the sports calendar, they will dip their toes in some of the biggest sporting events and give out some gambling picks and some trends and some analysis and that kind of stuff. If you're looking for it, we've got something for everybody. And this has been the college basketball experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.